Okay, let's get underway. Thank you all very much for joining this webinar so promptly. I'm delighted to see such a large number of people in attendance today, and looking through the list, people from not just the UK and Europe, but from all over the world, which is absolutely fantastic. So, my name is Dominic Gordon, and I'm the Deputy Director of Student Recruitment and Partnerships here at Newcastle University London, and I'll be delivering this Future Students webinar for you all today. I'm going to talk about a few different things. I'm going to first of all introduce Newcastle University. I'm going to talk a bit about the experience of studying on our campus here in London. I'll also talk a bit about our global employability program, and then we'll go through some details on things like entry requirements, scholarships, funding opportunities, a little bit about the university's response to the COVID-19 outbreak, and at the end we will do a bit of a question and answer session. What I would suggest is if you do have any questions, you can ask them using the question function within the GoToWebinar software. And at the end of the webinar, I will go through and answer some of the most popular questions. If your question doesn't get answered, never fear. This software keeps a record of questions, so myself or the team can follow up with you individually afterwards. We'll also be offering students the opportunity to arrange a one-to-one Zoom meeting with a member of our team, and there'll be a bit more information about that at the end of the webinar. I will keep this relatively broad in nature. We have a large range of different people in this event. We have a lot of students who've applied to study with us. We have students who are thinking about applying for this year or future years, and I can see we have a number of our agent partners as well. Okay, so without further ado, the first section will introduce you to Newcastle University. So we are a founder member of the Russell Group of Research Intensive Universities. Hopefully many of you are familiar with what the Russell Group is, but just to give you a very quick overview, these are the elite research intensive universities in the UK. There's 24 of us in the group, including some very well-known universities such as Oxford and Cambridge, Manchester, Durham, Sheffield, Nottingham, and Newcastle. We are one of the founder members of that group, and we are the universities who produce a lot of the world-class research. We rank in the top 150 universities in the world in all of the major global university rankings, and within the UK we are ranked 21st according to The Guardian in 2020. So we have a very strong academic reputation both in the UK and globally. We're also very proud of our teaching quality. So in the most recent Teaching Excellence Framework, we were awarded the Gold Award for Teaching Excellence. And this is essentially a ranking of universities based on their teaching quality. They split universities into gold, silver, and bronze, very much ripped off from the Olympics. And we're delighted to have been awarded the Gold Award in that. And we've also been ranked as the 9th best university in Europe for our teaching excellence, and that was in the Times Higher Education Europe Teaching Rankings 2018. And all of this adds up to having very employable graduates. And we're absolutely delighted to be ranked in the top 10 in the UK for graduate employment. Obviously, as students, you're investing a huge amount of time, a huge amount of money and effort into your university education. And it's important that you choose a university that will support you in finding graduate employment. We're a global university, so we have a global reach. Our main campus is in Newcastle, the city of Newcastle, up in the northeast of England. where we are home to around 28,000 students studying across different faculties in science, agriculture, engineering, humanities and social sciences, and medical science as well. We have a campus in Malaysia for medicine and biomedical sciences, a partnership with the Singapore Institute of Technology for marine related subjects, and the campus in London. It's a business specialist campus. It's our newest campus, having launched in 2015, and that's the one we're going to talk about today. But just to give you an idea of what our campus in Newcastle looks like, as you can see, it's always bright sunshine in Newcastle, and we have a beautiful traditional red brick campus, and it sits on the edge of the city centre of Newcastle, which is a fantastic student city. In London, we look slightly different. Our London campus is a modern, shiny glass building in an area of London full of modern, shiny glass buildings. So we very much fit in with our surroundings. Those of you with good eyesight can see we have 2 restaurants on the ground floor of our campus. Pizza Union is actually known across London for having some of the best value pizzas that you can get in the city. Just under £4 for a margarita is a top tip. Gets very busy, especially on Friday lunchtimes. Now, at our campus in London, I mentioned we specialise in business education here in London. We have 3 undergraduate degrees on offer, which is the Accounting and Finance, International Business Management, and International Marketing and Management. We have 3 postgraduate degrees. That's the MSc in Banking and Finance, MSc International Business Management, and an MSc in International Marketing. For non-native English speakers, we also have some fantastic pathway programs. We have an International Foundation program, an International Year 1 program, and a Graduate Diploma program. We also have academic English and pre-sessional English as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about those later on in the presentation. Now, Newcastle University is well known for a range of different academic disciplines. Business is one of them. We rank very highly for our business education as a university. We are 8th in the UK for marketing. We are 13th in the UK for accounting and finance, and 21st in the UK for business and management. So not only do we have a fantastic reputation as a university, and we're also very good at teaching business subjects. All of our business degrees here at the London campus are designed by the Newcastle University Business School. And the Newcastle University Business School has something called triple accreditation. And that means that it's accredited by the 3 major global business school accrediting bodies. Now, this is something that we're very proud of. It's something that only around 1% of business schools in the world have managed to achieve. And so all of our degrees, both our business degrees, both in Newcastle and in London, all sit under that umbrella of the triple accreditation. Outside of that, even looking into individual degrees, we offer a wide range of professional accreditations and exemptions from professional qualifications. And that's because our degrees are written with industry in mind. So for many of our degrees that you study here at the London campus, as well as in the campus in Newcastle, you'll find things like accreditation from the Chartered Institute of Marketing, and exemptions from professional accounting exams, for example, with ACCA and ICAEW. Now, not only are we located in London, we're actually located in a fantastic part of London and an ideal place to study business. So the London campus is located in the city centre of London. We're in Zone 1. Those of you who are familiar with London will know that London is split into different zones, starting with Zone 1 in the middle, and as you go further out of the city, Zone 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to something like Zone 9. So we're in the centre of the city, very close to Liverpool Street Station, and on the edge of something called the City of London, which is the financial district of London. For those of you who visited London as a tourist, perhaps, you might be familiar with places like the Tower of London, St Paul's Cathedral, the Bank of England, which are all within walking distance of our campus. And so this is our local area. If you come out the front of the campus and you go straight ahead, you find yourself in the City of London, one of the world's major financial hubs. And it's an area full of tall, shiny skyscrapers. It's a business district full of important looking business people rushing around, going to meetings. It's a hugely inspiring place to study business. And it's a very busy part of London during the week, Monday to Friday. We're also on the edge of something called Tech City, or as it's known colloquially, Silicon Roundabout, which is the UK's equivalent of Silicon Valley in the States. And this is the tech hub of the UK. So there's loads of major tech firms have invested in this area close to our campus. People like Google and Amazon and Cisco, EE, Intel, Microsoft, and more. There's a huge amount of investment in this part of London. But it's not all business if you come and study with us. And we're also on the edge of some of London's most young, trendy, vibrant areas. Shoreditch is an area some of you might be familiar with. It's kind of the center of hipster culture, I suppose, in the UK. It was the first place in the UK to have a shipping container park. It's called Box Park. You can see it in the bottom left corner. It launched a trend that has now spread across the UK and I think a lot of other countries as well, for shipping containers with bars and shops and restaurants in. And it's essentially an area full of life, full of bars, full of cafes, full of restaurants, loads of amazing street art. For any of you street art fans out there, and there's a few amazing Banksies and just constantly changing street art. And we're also on the edge of places like Brick Lane and Spitalfields as well. So it's a really fun, energetic, vibrant part of town to be a student in. And outside of our local area, London is, in my opinion, the best city in the world. We all know that it's a global centre for business and finance. It's also a fantastic cultural destination. You will never get bored living in London. Over 1,000 museums and galleries, live music venues, restaurants, bars and pubs. It's a really lively, buzzing city of 8.5 million people. It's the largest city in Europe. But actually, the point I really want to make is I think if you visit London as a tourist or for business, really what you see of London is the tourist centre. It's the city centre of London. It's very busy, very touristy, and that's actually not the experience that you get when you live in London. And I like to use the word community because London is a city based on community. London is created by a lot of what is essentially small villages that have all combined together to make this huge city. And actually, when you live in London as a student, you live in your local village, and your local village has its own high street. And your high street, you will have your local shops, you will have your local bars, your local pubs, your local restaurants, your cafes, where you know people. And actually, it's a much more friendly, community-based life living in London than people realize when they come to visit as a tourist. And actually, all of this leads to it being voted the best student city in the entire world. So the QS, who do all sorts of global university rankings, in their most recent examination of university cities around the world, they decided that London was the best city in the world to be a student. It's also the most popular city in the world with international students. We have over 100,000 international students studying in London at any one time. And this brings so much to the city. It's a hugely vibrant, dynamic, international city. And just to give you a short glimpse of what our campus environment around our campus is like, I'm just going to show you a very short video. There we go, guest appearance from one of my colleagues, Sophie, at the end of that video there. Okay, so that's given you an idea of the university and a little bit about what where our London campus is and our local environment. Now I'm going to talk in a bit more detail about the experience of being a student with us at our campus in London. And this bit's very important because our campus in London actually presents a very different environment from that you will find at most traditional UK universities. And that's because we're a small campus. As it says at the top, a small campus in the centre of a very large city. So our campus in London is home to, at last count, and this was my count on Friday, 660 students in total studying at Newcastle University London. And what this creates is actually a very friendly, a very supportive environment on campus. Our students really have the opportunity to get to know each other, to build strong relationships, and not just with each other, but also with our academic faculty. And this is an opportunity that students often don't get if you're studying at a much bigger university. So it's a really friendly environment on campus. It's a safe environment on campus. We are one building in the centre of London. It means we have smaller than average class sizes, so we can really deliver on that university promise of first-rate student support. And we're hugely diverse as well. London, as I mentioned, is a very popular city with international students, and that's reflected in our campus in London. So we have, again, at last count on Friday, 70 different nationalities amongst our 660 students. And we're very, very proud of this. We think this creates the perfect environment to prepare students to get jobs in big global companies, because the environment on our campus is roughly representative of the kind of environment you can expect if you go and find a job in a big global company. And this is really what we think sets us apart from other top universities. There's lots of fantastic universities that you can choose to study at in the UK and in London as well. But this is often the reason when we speak to our students why they chose to study with Newcastle University London, because you get a fantastic education from a very well-known university, but actually on a very small, close-knit campus. And this is a quote from one of our students from Germany, Anka, who graduated a couple of years ago. And I think it really sums up what I'm talking about. She says, "What made Newcastle University London unique for me is that I perceived it as exceptionally personal. The warm-hearted staff, the proximity between teachers and students, and the considerate and appreciative interaction with each other were crucial factors for my decision. You're not one student in 20, 30, 40,000 when you study with us in London. You are one student of 660 currently." And we have a modern campus, a purpose-built campus with modern classrooms, with smart boards. We have a lovely cafe within the campus as well, IT tech support. We have a great learning resource centre with hard copies of your key texts, as well as access to the Newcastle University digital library with over 500,000 ebooks and journals. And we have a research hub that is for our postgraduate students with Bloomberg terminal facility in there as well. We have a very active students' union. So we have Lauren, who is pictured there on the right-hand side. Lauren is our Newcastle University Students' Union representative for the London campus. So she's based with us here in London. And she runs all sorts of activities across the year, starting with, of course, Freshers Week, which is when she organises loads of activities to help students get to know each other and settle in onto campus. She runs things like walking tours and pizza parties, quiz nights, and pub crawls. She's been really active in the last couple of weeks since we closed face-to-face teaching for students because of the COVID-19 outbreak. She's really active online with student Facebook groups and getting activities like online quiz nights and open mic nights as well together for our students so they can still engage with their friends and their classmates even from home. And she also supports our student clubs and societies. So we have a range of clubs and societies for students that have been set up, things like Women in Business, Commercial Awareness, Amnesty International. And of course, as with other UK universities, if you would like to set up your own club and society, Lauren will help you to do that. She's very supportive and she'll be able to take you through the process of doing that. We also have fantastic student accommodation in London, and this is a range of different styles and types and locations and prices all across the city. We work with private student accommodation providers across London to offer these student accommodation and also homestay options. You'll see on our website there is one particular student accommodation listed, which is called Scape East. But on top of this, we're able to work with our private accommodation providers to help find the perfect student accommodation for you. So you can just ask your admissions advisor, who you'll be in touch with after you submit your application, to explore other student accommodation options across London. And our accommodation team will work with you to find the most suitable place for you to live while you're studying with us. Okay, and now another short video just to show you our local environment, a few shots of the campus and our accommodation as well. There we go. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a flavour into what it's like to be a student on campus with us in London. Now, the final section is talking a bit about our global employability programme. So the London campus was set up back in 2015. And one of the key reasons behind having a presence in London was to really engage and interact with industry. London obviously being this big global centre of business. The campus was set up to further connect with industry on behalf of the whole university. And it's really about building key employability skills for our students. As I mentioned at the beginning, we're very aware that you guys are investing a lot of time and effort and money in your education. And we want to make sure that you get value for that investment. And that value is finding a good job after you graduate. So we look very closely at the graduate skills framework, which is essentially a list of skills that employers are looking for in fresh graduates. And we put in place all of these measures to help you build these skills and that experience while you are a student with us. And there's a few ways in which we do this. So we put in several measures to ensure that students have as much exposure to industry as possible. We run professional masterclasses. So these run on Wednesday afternoons during term time. And this is where we invite industry speakers, industry leaders into campus to run workshops with our students. It's an extra thing on top of your normal studies. And it could be one of a few different things. So this could be an industry leader coming in to talk to students about their experience, how they've become successful in their industry, and to try and pass on a bit of wisdom and advice and encouragement to students who are in a position that this business leader was in 20, 30, 40 years ago, potentially. We also have industry coming in to update our students on the latest developments in a particular industry. So certain industries, for example, digital marketing. If you're studying digital marketing from a textbook, a lot of what you're learning is actually out of date the moment that textbook has been printed and has got into your hands. So actually, it's really important that students stay up to date with what is going on in the industry. Developments, changes in technology are changing many industries all the time. So for digital marketing, we might bring in a market research organization or a digital marketing agency to come in and tell our students what is happening in this particular industry now, not what was happening in this particular industry when your textbook was printed 6 or 7 years ago. Equally, with the economy, we had the Bank of England come in recently to talk about what's happening with the UK economy. Again, these things are changing all the time, so it's important that we are working with industry so our students are really kept up to date. Or it could be an employability focused session. So in the past, we've had organizations such as PwC come in and run mock assessment centers with our students based on the kind of assessment centers they would run when they are recruiting new employees. So we're really making the most of our industry connections to ensure students are as prepared as they can be to enter the world of work and to compete with those students who are graduating out of other top universities across the UK and across the world. We also offer real-life business projects. So this is an example of a project that our MSc International Business Management students work on. And it's a completely practical project that's run as the assessment for one of their modules, the International Management Practitioner module. And what they have to do for this module is actually set up and run their own real business. So we give them a £350 startup budget from the university, like a seed fund, and they have to launch their own market stall. So we give them a market stall in Spitalfields Market, which is a big, beautiful, traditional London market just around the corner from campus. And they have to trade for 2 days, usually in March or April time. And as part of this project, they have to do their own market research. In this case, that is literal market research in the market. They have to work out what product they think might sell well, what's the feel of the market, what are people going there to buy, what are other people selling, is there a gap in the market, what could sell well here. They have to find their suppliers, they have to negotiate prices, potentially sign contracts. They have to do all of their own accounting as well, keep track of their costs. And then they have to come up with an advertising campaign. This is supported by our undergraduate marketing students as well, as a sort of example of marketing for real business for them. And then they have to stand in the cold in London for 2 days and actually sell to members of the public, building their self-confidence and building their sales skills. And this is the bit that I think they find the most challenging. Now, of course, the idea with a project like this is it would be nice for them to make a profit. It's really more about the business lessons that they're learning. They have to write a report based on this project, and they're graded based on that. If they do make a profit, unfortunately, they don't get to keep that money. But the good news is it gets donated to our local partner charity called Providence Row, who are based around the corner from us in London. And this is a really good example of one really practical project with lots of real life business skills rolled up into it. You don't spend any time in the library reading old books for this project. You're out and you are actually practicing. You are doing. You're not just learning theory. We make the most of our fantastic location in London as well to engage with industry. You can see our students there going to places like the Museum of Brands, the Institute of Directors up there on the top left. We also took our students last year to Stamford Bridge, if there's any Chelsea fans in this event, where they heard from the Director of Commercial Operations at Chelsea, where they learned about the business of sport, which a lot of our students are interested in getting into. They had a tour of the stadium as well. And for those football fans out there, they met with a former Chelsea striker, Torre Andre Flo. Maybe some of you will remember him. Work placements are a big part of our offer here at Newcastle University. So all undergraduate students who are studying our business degrees in London or indeed in Newcastle have the option to take a 1-year work placement as part of their degree. It's ultimately the responsibility of the student to find the work placement, but the university provides a lot of support in helping them to do that. And we have a lot of big companies who will list work placement opportunities with Newcastle University for our business students. So on the screen here, you can see some examples of companies and roles that our students have performed in the last couple of years. So these are our Newcastle University London students have found work placements at places like PwC, HP, Caterpillar, Disney, UBS, some top brands. And that gives you an idea of the kind of roles that they are doing. These work placements are generally paid according to the university guidelines, and students have to be doing a real job appropriate to their level of study. So it's not a case of going and just making tea and coffee for old people in suits. They have to be doing actual work, and they will generally be paid at a good wage to do that actual work as well. Obviously, this is a fantastic experience for students to get an insight into the workplace. It's also a great networking opportunity. And I know that a lot of students, when they get to they finish their undergraduate degree and they're looking for that graduate role, a lot of students will go back to the company that they've done the work placement with, because that company has already trained them up. They already have contacts in that company. So it's a really direct route into graduate employment. Of course, as long as they were quite good during their work placement. If they didn't turn up, then maybe not a good move. We have something called NCL Spark as well, available to help students studying within the business school here. Spark is really a way for us to connect with our graduates. So we have loads of Newcastle University graduates working in fantastic jobs in London, across the UK, and internationally. And actually, a lot of these graduates, these alumni of the university, really want to give something back to help and support our current students, because that's what they used to be. And what this is, in essence, is a database of graduates who are willing to help and support and mentor our current students. And our students can log in using their university account, and they can search for people by a particular industry if they know that they want to go into a certain industry. They can even search people by a particular organization if they know there's a particular company that they want to go and work for. They can have a look on Spark to see if there are any Newcastle University graduates working in that company, and then they can reach out to them to build a personal connection, to ask them for advice, and to ask them for mentoring as well. And it's a really good personal connection. It's a really good way for students to get that first step into graduate employment, because the UK is like many other countries around the world, is if you want to get a good job, yes, you need to build those skills. Yes, you need to have that experience, but it also really helps if you have the contacts. And that's where the university comes in to help our students build that network of contacts. We have a startup program as well. This is for students who are quite entrepreneurial, who want to explore their entrepreneurial ideas and potentially to start their own business. And we have a team of people who will work with these students to help them. Depending on the stage of their business idea, we can help them generate a business idea. We can help them work on and develop and improve their business idea all the way through to launch and finding investment and funding into that business idea. So we offer one-to-one coaching. We have various different events and workshops available to these students. And we introduce them to our network of experts, influencers, and investments. So as a university, we have a fantastic network of professionals around the world who will support our startup students. We also, as part of this, offer special support for international students because, of course, if you are here on a student visa, the rules and regulations around you are slightly different. So we have specific support to help our international students understand how they might be able to stay in the UK after graduation if they want to launch their own business. And not only do we help students build up the necessary skills and experience in terms of industry, but actually employers tell us that really what they're looking for as well is students who have global experience. And for many of you in this event will be international students looking to come study in the UK. Now, of course, that is already for you building up some fantastic global experience, but we give you the opportunity to build even more while you're at university. And the business school here at Newcastle University has some fantastic schemes set up to really help our students build global experience while studying with us here. So one thing you can do is study abroad. Study abroad is generally undergraduate students for that sandwich year in between years 2 and 3 of your undergraduate degree. And this can be combined with a work placement if you want to do part of your year as a work placement and part of your year as a study abroad. We're quite flexible. We have a study abroad and work placement team who can work with students on a one-to-one basis for this. And you essentially go and study your business subject at a partner university somewhere else in the world. And we have lots of partners across Europe that are partners of the business school. And then at faculty level, we also have some exciting partnerships internationally in places like Australia, Brazil, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, and the US. For students who perhaps don't want to take a whole year out to do a study abroad or a work experience year, you can apply to do a summer internship. And we have a number of places at partner organizations in India, Rwanda, and Tanzania, where you would go and spend 2 to 3 months over the summer working with an organization. And we have a really cool project in Rwanda, which is working with local entrepreneurs there to help them in launching their businesses and developing their business ideas. And we have a couple of programs with banks in India and also charitable organizations in India and also in Tanzania. So lots of opportunities to get some overseas experience. You can also do a summer school. So this is a new scheme that we've launched recently. So again, if you don't want to spend a whole year studying abroad, you can go and study at a partner university for a few weeks over the summer holidays if you prefer. And these are all partnerships across Europe, and all of our partners are also up to the triple accredited standard of our business schools. So we're only partnering with well-respected universities and business schools elsewhere in Europe. And something we've run for the past few years for our students here in London is we've taken them on an international business field trip as well. And this has been for undergraduate students in their final year, included in the cost of tuition. And we've taken them for the past couple of years to Amsterdam, where they've got to go and visit places like the Amsterdam Stock Exchange, Yakult, who are a major business out there in the Netherlands, as well as engage in cultural exchange as well. Okay, so lots of opportunities as a student with us to build fantastic industry experience, to really develop your employability skills and build your global awareness. And hopefully, if you take advantage of all of these opportunities that we provide, it will make you into a very employable graduate. The final section is just some sort of key details that are important for you to know. I'm going to talk briefly about entry requirements, about fees and funding, about our response to COVID-19, and then we will get on to some questions at the end. So our entry requirements for our undergraduate degrees. So an undergraduate degree in the UK, typically 3 years, with the option to add that additional year between year 2 and 3 to do a work placement or study abroad. To get into an undergraduate degree, our A-level requirement is typically AAB. A BTEC would be a triple distinction. And for IB students, we would look for 35 points. Now, for home students, you may qualify for a lower offer, up to 3 grades below that, through our Partners program. And our Partners program is our supported entry route into university. You may be eligible for partners based on a number of factors, including things like the school you go to, ethnicity, your household income, whether your parents have been to university, all sorts of things like that. You can find all the information about that on our website. For non-native English speakers, you would also require proof of English language. We accept actually a wide range of English language qualifications, and you can see what those are and the requirements for those on our website. But just to give you an idea, if it's an IELTS test, we would ask for 6.5 overall with 5.5 in each subskill. Obviously, I know we have people in this event from all over the world. We do have quite a comprehensive list of country-specific entry requirements. And for those, you can find those all on our website. If you go to the course page, if you find the course that you are interested in applying for, you'll see a link to find what the entry requirement is for other specific countries on there. Tuition fees for an undergraduate degree at the moment for 2020 entry is £9,250 for a home or EU student and £18,000 for an international student. At postgraduate level, postgraduate degree in the UK being 1 year, we would ask for the equivalent of a 2-1 in the UK, an upper second class degree. And again, the international equivalents of those can be found on our website. And for non-native speakers, we would ask again for an English language qualification equivalent to IELTS 6.5 with at least 6.0 in each subskill. For those students who don't quite meet the English language requirement, but do meet the academic requirement, we have a pre-sessional English course available that you can study before you start your degree program. Our tuition fees for 2020 are £10,800 for home EU students and £21,600 for international students. Now, in addition to our undergraduate and postgraduate degrees, we also have a range of fantastic pathway preparation courses. Now, these are created for a couple of reasons. It could be that the educational system in your country doesn't quite match up with the educational system here in the UK, or it could be that you would just like an extra year of preparation before you embark on your higher education degree. And our pathway programs provide a huge amount of support with high contact hours, and you're learning both academic related knowledge, but also important study skills and English language as well. And they're taught in generally quite small class sizes. And the idea of these programs is to prepare you for your degree level study. And when you finish your pathway program, you're guaranteed a place on your chosen degree, as long as you meet our specified entry requirements, progression requirements. So we have the International Foundation Program at the top. This is a foundation year that you would study prior to starting your undergraduate degree. We have the International Year 1 program. This one runs parallel to the first year of the undergraduate degree and offers guaranteed progression into year 2 of your undergraduate degree upon successful completion. And we have the Graduate Diploma program. This is our pre-master's program that you would study, and then you would be guaranteed progression onto a postgraduate degree afterwards. These pathway programs are all run by our fantastic partners at Into. Scholarships we have. There's a range of different funding opportunities for students coming to study with us in 2020. So we have the Vice Chancellor's International Scholarship. This is an automatic scholarship of up to £5,000, and this is for international fee-paying students who have an offer for an undergraduate or a postgraduate degree with us. As I mentioned, these are automatic scholarships. You don't need to apply separately for these, and we assess all applicants automatically, and it's based mainly on your academic grades. So if you have a very strong application, if you have very strong grades, you may have a chance of being awarded one of these Vice Chancellor's International Scholarships. We also have Vice Chancellor's Excellence Scholarships. We have 4 of these. and these are 50% scholarships, and all postgraduate offer holding students are eligible to be considered for these. For the Vice Chancellor's Excellence Scholarship, you must first have an offer for your course. You then need to complete an application form online. And of course, you can find all the information about our scholarships on our website, including the application form for that. We have an Opportunity Scholarship. This is for home and EU undergraduate students, and this is up to £2,000. This is payable every year, and it's based on your household income. We have a Pathway Scholarship. So this is for students who are applying for the International Foundation, the International Year 1, and the Graduate Diploma, and that's up to £5,000. To get more information about your Pathway Scholarship, if you're an agent, I would suggest talking to your Regional Manager. And if you are a student, you can talk to either to your agent or to your Enrolment Services Counsellor in admissions. And then finally, we have the Student Loans Company funding for home and EU students, the student loan for your undergraduate and postgraduate degrees as well. And just a quick note on our response to the coronavirus outbreak, just to reassure you, obviously the situation is changing rapidly across the world. And the university is actually, the senior team at the university is meeting every day at the moment to really monitor what's going on and to prepare accordingly. At this time, we anticipate that the start of term in September, which many of you will be looking at, will go ahead as planned. Although, as I mentioned, we are constantly monitoring the situation and we're planning for lots of different eventualities if that is not able to take place. We're aware that there's widespread disruption to school and university assessments, both in the UK and across the world. And again, we will be taking that into account and also looking at guidance and information from the various different examination boards. We're also aware of the difficulties with taking English language tests for those of you who require them. And we're working very closely with IELTS and TOEFL and other English language providers on that as well. Our pre-sessional English courses that take place over the summer. So these, as I mentioned, are English language courses for students who are academically qualified to do an undergraduate or a postgraduate degree with us, but just fall slightly below our English language requirements. For this year, the pre-sessional English courses are going to be delivered online. Those of you who have already applied to the pre-sessional English course should receive information from our admissions team on how this is going to work shortly, if you have not already. And we'll be running 2 pre-sessional English courses, an 8-week course and a 12-week course. And the message really is, because everything is changing so fast, we have quite comprehensive, frequently asked questions up on our website. There's special sections for prospective students on there, answering a lot of the questions that you guys will have relating to your future studies and specifically to COVID-19. So do keep an eye on the FAQs on our website. And finally, before we get into questions, I just wanted to bring it back and show you, I suppose, the end of your university journey with us. This is one of my favorite pictures, is one of our recent graduation ceremonies. If you choose to come and study with us at the London campus, we do our graduation ceremonies in this beautiful old church. It's a Hawksmoor church for those architecture fans out there, just next to Spitalfields Market, a short walk away from campus. And we do the full traditional British university graduation. We bring the mace, which is a sort of ceremonial implement, down from Newcastle. We bring the Northumbrian piper, who plays the Northumbrian pipes as students walk down the aisle into graduation. So it's a very similar experience to the graduation ceremonies that run up at our Newcastle campus, with the full gowns and everything. And it's a really fantastic day that brings to a close the years of hard work and a real sort of celebration of achievement. It's one of my favorite days of the year. So we can get into some questions. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining and listening to me throughout this virtual event today. I've put on the screen some useful links and contacts for you. So we've got our website and the FAQs relating to the COVID-19 outbreak. I mentioned briefly at the beginning, but we would like to offer any students who would like to have a one-to-one meeting with our team the opportunity to book one of those in. The link to do that is there on the screen now. We'll also be sending you an email after the end of this event with that link in. So you can book in a one-to-one meeting with a member of our team to discuss any particular questions. If there's anything you would like to find out more about, we'd be very happy to meet with you over Zoom. I put the link to our student blog. It's called London Student Voices. We have some fantastic blogs on there from current students that will really give you a good insight into what life is like being a student here at Newcastle University London. So I do urge you to check out our London Student Voices. And I've also put the link there for partners, our supported entry route into undergraduate degrees for our home students. So do have a look on there, see if you're eligible. As I mentioned, you could get an offer of up to 3 grades lower than our standard entry requirement, and you would just have to complete a summer school up at our campus in Newcastle. And finally, for any general inquiries that you have, please do feel free to contact us at outreachlondon@ncl.ac.uk. Okay, so what we can do now is we can have a look at some of your questions. So do feel free to put your questions in the question tab on GoToWebinar, and I will have a look through and see if we have any general questions that would be good to answer. Okay, so we have a question about the work placement. So when exactly does the work placement take place? So the work placement year is part of the undergraduate degree. So that would take place in between the 2nd year and the 3rd year of the undergraduate degree. So students can either choose to do just a 3-year degree where you study for 3 years. The work placement or study abroad year is completely optional. It's an extra year. It is obviously a fantastic opportunity for students to build work experience, to build their network of contacts, to earn a bit of money, but it's completely up to the student. For those of you who apply to an undergraduate degree through UCAS, you will notice that there is a different course code for the degree that is 3 years and the degree that is 4 years with the sandwich placement included. So what I would recommend is that you choose the one that you think is most suitable for you, but you should also know that you can change your mind at a later date. So if you decide when you're already studying with us that either you'd applied to do 4 years and you don't want to do that anymore, or you applied to do 3 years and you would like to add an extra degree, students are given the opportunity to do that. So don't be too scared by the bit on the UCAS application where it asks you to choose which one right at the beginning. Okay, I have a question about the scholarship. So the scholarships for postgraduate students and the Vice-Chancellor's excellent scholarships of 50%. So we have 4 of these 50% scholarships available. And as I mentioned, there's an application form to fill in online. And the decision is based on a few things. It's based on your academic grades. So you will need to have strong academic grades. If you have any relevant work experience, that will be taken into consideration as well. And it's also based on the answer to a couple of questions that you have to answer as part of your scholarship application. So it's not 100% based on your academic grades. There's a few things that we're looking at, but I would encourage anyone who thinks they have a strong application to apply for that 50% Vice-Chancellor's Excellence Scholarship. Any postgraduate applicant is eligible to apply for that. Okay, I have a question from Ines about, can we hold down a job and do our schoolwork at the same time? Fantastic question. So what I would say about that is the degrees that we offer here at Newcastle University London are all full-time degrees, and they will require a significant investment of time. And this goes for everything from pathway to undergraduate and postgraduate. Postgraduate degrees in the UK especially are quite intense because they are 1 year long. And actually, you're doing the same amount of study in 1 year, pretty much as you would do in a lot of countries over 2 years. We would not advise that students try to hold down a sort of proper job alongside their studies. If you wanted to work to get a bit of money in a part-time job for a few hours a week, usually that's manageable, but we would still encourage students to arrive on campus, start their studies, work out how much free time they have, work out how much time that they need to devote to their studies before they commit to any kind of paid employment. Okay, we have a question. Is the Vice-Chancellor's Excellence Scholarships for international students? So the Vice-Chancellor's Excellence Scholarships, these are the 50% scholarships. Any student who has an offer for a postgraduate degree can apply for those. It doesn't matter if you're an international fee payer or a home or EU fee payer either. Another question coming in about, do you accept Cambridge exams as a substitute for IELTS? For our higher education programs, yes, is the simple answer. There's a really useful list on our website that lists all of the English language qualifications that we accept for our degree programs. And it does include the Cambridge exams, IELTS, TOEFL, Pearson, students who are doing qualifications like the International Baccalaureate, like IGCSEs, like A-levels. Those are all mentioned on the website. Question from Amy, do we have an intake in January? We do have an intake in January for our pathway preparation programs only. So for students who are looking to do an international foundation course, an international year 1 course, or a graduate diploma course or academic English, you're welcome to start your course in January. For the undergraduate and postgraduate degree courses, we only have an intake in September. Okay, we have a question from Sonal about the application process. So the application process really depends on what course level you're applying to. We have an application form available to apply to pathway programs and our postgraduate degrees. For undergraduate degrees, you're welcome to apply through UCAS. There's a full list of how you can apply to each course level on the How to Apply section on our website as well. Okay, great question. Does the Masters need relevant subject or GMAT? So we don't have any requirement for GMAT for our Master's degrees. If you do have a qualification like a GMAT, of course that will add to your application, but it's not a requirement. And I wouldn't encourage any student to take a GMAT just if they're applying to our courses. But if they do have it because they're applying to other universities, it will definitely be considered as adding to their application. And in terms of, do you need a relevant background to apply for our master's degrees? Actually, no. We accept students from any academic background to come to do our master's degrees here. The only thing to watch out for is for the MSc in Banking and Finance. We do ask that students have some related background in things like probability theory and statistical inference. But apart from that, students can come from any particular degree background. The degrees here, our master's degrees, are designed to accommodate students who don't have specific business background. Okay, so I have a question about, would we accept a student who has finished his first year in another university and wants to come to us for year 2 or 3? Yes, we would accept a student to come straight into Newcastle University London to start from year 2 if they've already completed some university study at a different university. These are generally all done on a case-by-case basis. So what I would recommend is that you apply for the course and then our admissions team will have a look. It will be based on your academic grade so far in your university studies, and also because you'd be missing out on the first year of the degree, our admissions team would have to be satisfied that you had covered the key content of the first year of the degree as well. Good question here about the placements or study abroad programs. How do they affect the tuition fees? So if you choose to do a work placement or study abroad year, you don't pay the full tuition amount to the university. You pay instead a registration fee, which is usually just over £1,000. The exact amount will depend on exactly when you start your degree, but you don't pay the full tuition fee for that year. Another question about tuition fees. Obviously, all of our tuition fees can be found on the course pages on our website as well. Okay, question about the graduate diploma. Is it for 6 months or 9 months? So all of our pathway preparation programs are a minimum of 9 months, so one sort of academic year. We also have extended programs available that are 12 months, or just normally a bit over 11 months, and that's based on students who have a slightly lower level of English language coming in. But again, all of that information is available on our website. Oh, great question about the fees for accommodation. So it's quite a tricky one because there's such a wide range of student accommodation available in London, and obviously the price will vary a huge amount. So last time I spoke to our accommodation team, they suggested that if a student wanted to find their own single room within a reasonable commute of the campus in London, you're probably looking at from about £200 per week and up. But of course, the price varies hugely. So if students are willing to share a room, or if students are willing to live slightly further out of the centre of London, that cost can come down. And equally, if students want more VIP accommodation in central London, that cost can also go up as well. So there's a real range of prices for accommodation across London. We've had some specific requests, inquiries about entry requirements for particular countries. I'm conscious that we have people from all over the world on this event, so I don't want to go into the detail on requirements for an individual country. But for the degree programs, you will find them all published on our website. For the pathway programs, if you are an agent, I would advise that you get in touch with your Into regional manager. And if you're a student, feel free to send us an email to that outreach address that you can see on the screen, and we'll get back to you with specific entry requirements as well. I have a question about, is the work placement only for the business students? We only offer business degrees here at Newcastle University London. For the university in general, the vast majority of degrees in all subject areas offer some kind of work placement opportunity as well. We have a question about the deadline for applying to courses. We don't actually have a fixed deadline for our postgraduate degrees, although we would encourage students to apply earlier rather than later. You can apply, we know that you won't have finished, in the case of most students, you won't have finished your undergraduate degree by the time you apply, so you don't know what grades you've got yet. That's absolutely fine. You should apply and you will receive hopefully what's called a conditional offer, and then you can wait until you receive your final grades and send those in then. For undergraduate degrees, for those applying through UCAS, you should keep an eye on the various UCAS deadlines. We are still accepting applications for 2020 intake at the moment through UCAS, but UCAS has its own particular deadlines as well on when you have to make your decision. So for undergraduate, I would say pay attention to the UCAS deadlines, and for postgraduate, applying earlier is better. Okay, we can do a couple more. Okay, another question about the 50% postgraduate scholarships. Are they available for international students? Yes, is the answer. So for the postgraduate Vice Chancellor's Excellence Scholarships, students from any nationality are able to apply for those. Okay, and a question about what happens to a student if they can't find a job during their work placement year? Will they have to do a project or a thesis instead? If a student tries to find a work placement for that year and doesn't find a work placement in that year, what they would do is they would just carry on and do the final taught year of the degree. A few of the questions coming in that I have answered already, so I won't answer those ones. Okay, here's a good question. What if I don't fulfill the conditional offer? So if you've got a conditional offer and your grades don't actually hit that requirement, well, there's a couple of things that might happen. We would always encourage you to send your final results in to us, even if you don't meet the conditions of your offer. And this is for two reasons. Number one is we may still be able to accept you because your academic grades are only part of your application, and we'll look at the other parts of your application as well, which could be things like your academic references, your personal statement, any work experience you have. So sometimes students who don't quite meet our published conditional requirements are still given the opportunity to study with us. The other thing that might happen is we may offer you a place, if appropriate, on one of our pathway preparation programs as well. So we'd always encourage you to send in your final grades, even if you don't quite meet the conditions of your offer. Okay, fantastic. I think I've got through many of the questions. As I said at the beginning, for those of you who've asked questions that we've not had time to answer today, our team will follow up with you individually afterwards, so you can look forward to that. Otherwise, I'd like to sincerely thank you all for joining me today. I know this is a very strange time at the moment globally, but hopefully this has been a good opportunity for you to get more of an insight into what it's like to study with us at Newcastle University London. I hope that we will see many of you on campus from September, or perhaps in future years if you're looking at applying to study in the UK in 2021 and onwards. So yeah, thank you very much for joining. You'll receive a follow-up email in the next few days answering any questions. This webinar has also been recorded, so it'll be available for you to view again at your leisure afterwards. And thank you very much, and have a fantastic rest of the day wherever you are in the world.